Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right? Oh! The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa.
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
He picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs. Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. It is the Thursday show. The OG show is what we're going to be calling it now. Patrick Allen here with you. We got a bit of an early show today, a little bit different schedule for us this week. This is my last show before I head off onto parental leave. Matt Verderam will be here with you after I take off starting next week all the way until I get back. And we don't know when that will be, but I'm really excited to be spending one last show with you guys here before my life changes forever. But forget about all that for now because we got a great show to get to. And the Chiefs schedule came out yesterday. I don't know if you guys noticed. Sterling and Adam Best were here last night breaking things down. I'm going to give my take on it. You'll get to hear from Verderam next week. I got to say, and let me know in the chat, because what I'm going to do here is we're going to go through the schedule. I'm going to give you my analysis, opinions on what I see, and I'm going to predict every game for you. And I want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear what yours for each of these games are and what you think about the schedule. Sound in the chat, and I will read some of those comments here on the show. But I got to say, I don't know about you guys, but for me, the schedule release is like Christmas morning. I know we knew who the Chiefs were going to play. We didn't know what order they were going to be in. And I get a little bit annoyed every year when I hear some of these NFL experts talking about the schedule release, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know why people care. You already know who they're going to play." And they get all up on their high horse about it. It's fucking fun, man. That's why. It's fun to see this is the chance to finally start to envision what's the 2024 season going to look like for the Chiefs. When are the primetime games? If you're interested in going to a game, which games do you want to maybe try to get out to Arrowhead for? Or maybe you want to go on a road trip, or you live in a different market. You're in Cleveland and you want to know when the Chiefs are coming to town because you want to catch the game. You never get to see them live. There's a ton of reasons to be really excited about the schedule. Not just for Chiefs games, but the other primetime games and really great matchups that we're going to see. The NFL's done a good job of trying out the offseason. I'm thankful for it, man. I'm a football nut. I can't get enough. And so it's nice to be sitting here in mid-May talking football and have everybody be excited about it. And then we just got to get through a couple months of summer, get out, get some vitamin D, get some sun, do some patio drinking, and then boom, it's preseason. And we're right back into it. So shout out to everybody in the chat. See a bunch of you out there. See my guy Rhino. See Gary. Faith and Fitness says, let's go. Rhino says week 6 is way too early. Buys should not be before week 8, in my opinion. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Chiefs have an early bye week this year. Okay, so we're going to get into it. We're going to break everything down. So make sure if you're watching on YouTube live right now, hit the like button. Let's get some more Chiefs fans in here to talk about the schedule. But before we do that, I got to let you know that if you haven't downloaded the FanDuel app yet, you will definitely want to take advantage of this offer. New users who sign up with our link must deposit $10 and place a first wager of $5 on any live bet. If the first bet wins, you will receive $150 in bonus bets straight to your account. This offer is only available if you sign up through our link, bit.ly/arrow150. You can take the link in the description below our stream, or you can also scan the QR code on screen to start signing up. Again, that is bit.ly/ARROW150. This offer will end shortly, so make sure you don't miss out. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 and older and physically present in a legal gambling state. Please remember to always gamble responsibly and check out the episode description for the link and the full terms of the offer. Okay, so let's get into this schedule. And thank you for supporting us. If you do these signups that we have, it really helps. So I have to say, and I don't think it's too far off base here, I think this is the craziest schedule in Kansas City Chiefs history. It is wild for not necessarily who the Chiefs are playing, but just like they're playing every day of the week, basically, except for one. So they have games this year on a Wednesday, NFL football on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The Chiefs play every single day of the week except for Tuesday. So they're all over the place. Obviously, they're the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the two-time defending champs. Everybody wants to see them. They want to see Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, the whole gang. But it is wild. And as Rhino points out, 3 games in 10 days in December. It's nuts. But we're going to go through it. We're going to break it down, and we'll let you know how it all works out. But this is, I've never seen anything like it. The Chiefs are playing on holidays again. They're playing on Black Friday. So a Friday game for the Chiefs, playing on Black Friday. So let's dive into the schedule. I want to hear what you guys think about each game, the schedule, and all that stuff. And I'll tell you what I think is going to happen in each game, and we'll have a final score or a final record prediction for you at the end of this thing. Okay. So we'll start with preseason. I'm not going to predict these games, but just so you know when it's going to happen. Week 1 of the preseason is, remember, we're still at a 3-week preseason, although Roger Goodell was doing the rounds this offseason, is making noise about expanding the season to 18 games and only having 2 preseason games, but it's not happening this year. So preseason game number 1, Chiefs at Jaguars, August 10th at 7 p.m. So that is, let me check the day of the week on that one. That's going to be Saturday, August 10th at 6 p.m. at Jaguars. A little bit later in the day, but that's going to be probably a hot and humid game for the Chiefs down there. Next game, Saturday, August 17th. They're going to play Detroit at 2 o'clock. Saturday, August 17th, Detroit. So that's kind of a good one. Detroit's a quality team. If the Chiefs treat that second game like their kind of little dress rehearsal game, it's nice that it's not too far from home in Detroit. And, or actually that one's happening at Arrowhead, my bad. So not far from home at all. The Chiefs will be against the Lions. So they'll get to kind of test their mettle a little bit for a series or two against a playoff team. Jose says in the chat, the playing on a Wednesday after playing on a Saturday late in the season is the biggest dislike. Hope no major injuries from that. Indeed. So, and then that last game is versus the Bears at Arrowhead, Thursday, August 22nd, at Arrowhead Stadium. Caleb Williams, the Bears, they got kind of a stacked, at least on paper, offense. We'll see how that works out for Chicago. But let's dive in now to the game-by-game schedule. Okay, so the NFL did. They presented a really interesting opportunity for the Chiefs here because they're going to come out with 2 banger games against quality opponents right out of the gate. So you can look at this a couple of different ways. The Chiefs are going to be playing the Ravens and the Bengals in week 1 and week 2 at home at Arrowhead. So that's nice. You can look at it and say, oh man, like it's early season. Are the Chiefs going to be ready? They're working in some new faces on offense, just like they were last year. You know, what's the Rashee Rice situation going to be? Is Xavier Worthy going to play very much? What about Hollywood Brown? This will be his first real game as a Kansas City Chiefs. So on one hand, I look at the early season tough games and I'm kind of like thinking back to the game last year against Detroit where nobody could catch the ball. They just weren't ready. It was a bad situation. But Andy Reid is really good at getting the Chiefs prepared. He runs a really difficult training camp, and Hollywood Brown is a quality receiver. If Rashee Rice is there, I think the Chiefs will be fine. I don't think they're going to have to rely on Xavier Worthy too much. Travis Kelce will be fresh from the offseason. So as they head into these 2 games, it's an opportunity for the Chiefs. Maybe not ideal to start with 2 really high-quality opponents out of the gate, but you're getting them at home. You're getting plenty of time to prepare for these 2 games. These are 2 teams that you know well, that you played both of them last year and play them both, pretty much every year. They play the Bengals. So I'm not too broken up about it. I don't mind having some tough games right out of the gate. See if the Chiefs can get an early lead in the race for the number 1 seed. So week 1, Of course, because the Chiefs are the defending Super Bowl champions, they will open the season at home, as is tradition, and they will host the Ravens in a rematch of the AFC Championship game. That's going to be on Thursday, September 5th at 7:15 on NBC. Now, what I really like about last show, I did some predictions, and I thought this was going to be the Texans game for the opener. This is the one that I wanted, either the Bengals or the Ravens. I like this matchup to start the season for the Chiefs. They know whereas like last year, it's kind of like everybody was like, oh, it's the Lions. Are they going to be really good? Should they be in this position opening the season? And they snuck up on the Chiefs a little bit, and the Chiefs didn't play well, and they lost a game at home when they were raising their banner. So a lot of guys on the team going to remember that from last year, and they're not going to underestimate it to any degree the Baltimore Ravens after playing these guys in the AFC Championship game last year. Downside for the Chiefs, the last team that the Ravens played were the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Kansas City Chiefs ended their season. The Ravens had a great year. They were annihilating teams during the regular season, but they've gone through some changes in Baltimore. I think the Chiefs are just the better team heading into this one. I just do. I know the Chiefs lost L'Jarius Sneed, but otherwise their defense is intact and should be excellent again this year. I'm a little bit concerned about the tackle situation for the Chiefs, like against a strong defensive team like the Ravens. Like, how's that going to go? But I think at the end of the day, Arrowhead, opening night, raising the banner, exercising the demons of last year. I think the Chiefs are going to win this one. And I've got a special prediction for you in this one. Who do you think is, let me know in the chat. I think there's somebody that's going to step up in this game that's going to help the Chiefs win it. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a surprise of who it is. And does anybody have any predictions out there about who I think might step up in this one? Fire off. Rhino, Gary, you guys let me know. Who do you think? Who is the person that's going to step up? I'll give you a minute to fire off. But I think, look, this is going to be a tough game for the Chiefs, but I think it's one of those games where the Ravens come in and they're mad and they're trying to get revenge and all that stuff. And I think maybe they press a little bit too much. And when that happens, a veteran team like the Chiefs played in a ton of big games. I think they're going to be able to take advantage of that. And I think they're going to be ready. So we got a couple predictions coming in. Ronnie says Sky Moore. About Time says Kadarius Toney. Tori Spears says Leo Chenal is going to step up. And Ronnie said Sky Moore again. Dunking Pond says Hollywood Brown. Sky Moore. I think it's going to be Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how he plays this year. Gary was guessing Leo. Leo needs to play big in this game without, Willie Gay Jr. is gone. But I just think that this is one where Sky Moore works all off season, and look, he's got to be looking in the mirror right now and be like, man, things have not been going well for me. My career is going off the rails. Last year was a disaster, and I've got to prove something. And so I'm hoping that he worked all off season and he ends up being a guy who's rotating in this game and plays really well and catches the ball and gets open, which is his job. Brian was guessing McDuffie. Jose says Andy will draw some stuff up for Hollywood. Yeah, I think he will, but I think it's going to be Sky Moore. I just have a feeling. I don't know why. I'm not saying Sky Moore is going to go for 1,000 yards or anything crazy this year, but I think in this game in particular, and I've got things in the back of my mind, like Rashee Rice might be suspended, so they need to lean on one of their veteran guys who knows the offense really well. It just feels like Xavier Worthy's still a rookie. Hollywood Brown's new. So who's been around in the wide receiver core that has the potential to step up? I think it'll be Sky Moore. I'm not saying he's going to go off, but I think he has a couple key catches. And when we look back on that game, we're like, man, Sky Moore came through for them. So that's how I've got it. 1-0 start for the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go to week 2 now. It's the Bengals coming to town. So nice, tough matchup for the Chiefs, but they're starting 2 games at home, which is certainly nice. This one's going to be a Sunday game, later kick at 3:25 on CBS. So it's kind of one of those, it's not a primetime game, but it's kind of a primetime game. It'll get a lot of coverage. Look, man, I think the Chiefs win this one. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow. I read some really concerning things about the kind of surgery that he had and the recovery. I forget who was talking about it. Maybe it was AJ Hawk on the Pat McAfee show was saying that he had the same injury and that like he couldn't like bend his wrist all the way back anymore. And so this is dodgy, this whole thing going on with Joe Burrow. And even when he's healthy, he doesn't play very well early in the season. He just hasn't traditionally. And then they kind of get it together and they settle in. And so now he's coming. He hasn't played football in a while. He missed a lot of the season last year, was injured. He's coming back from this injury. It's only week 2. He's got to go on the road to Arrowhead. I just think there are too many things working against the Bengals. So I think if he's right, can be a very good team this year. But I just think there's a lot of factors working against him in this one, particularly timing. If this game happens later in the season and Burrow is fully healthy and he's kind of back in the swing of things, it's a different game. I think the Chiefs actually take this one pretty easily. I think their defense is gonna harass Burrow, and that line won't have gelled yet. He won't be ready. I think it's bad things for the Bengals in this one. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be good later in the season, but they've got the T. Higgins has requested a trade. Like, what's going to happen there? They seem to be transitioning a little bit. So give me the Chiefs in this one. A nice 2-0 start, and the Chiefs get a big win early in the season. And let me know in the chat, like these first 2 games, Ravens, Bengals, how do you think they go for the Chiefs? I just think this is a great opportunity. KC get an early lead in the race for the number 1 seed in the AFC against 2 of their, not division rivals, but conference rivals in the Ravens and the Bengals. And again, fire off in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you up to me. Okay, so week 3, Chiefs at Falcons. So this one's going to happen. This is their first Sunday night football game, second game on NBC. So again, they're starting on Thursday night at NBC for the opener. They'll raise the banner. Bengals at home, 3:25 kick on CBS. Week 3, Sunday, September 22nd at 7:20 p.m. on NBC, Sunday Night Football. It's the Chiefs at Falcons. And I think maybe if you're looking at that, you might sort of be like, the Falcons on Sunday Night Football? Like, why are we playing the Falcons? But look, man, the Falcons have a lot of really talented players on the offensive side of the ball. They have Bijan Robinson. They have Drake London. So now you've got a new head coach. You got Kirk Cousins coming in. I think this offense is going to be pretty good, pretty dang good this year. And I think everybody's going to be talking about the Texans this year. I think the Falcons very well could be this year's Lions. And this is a road game on Sunday Night Football after 2, what I'm going to call really emotional wins for the Chiefs, beating the Ravens again in the opener at Arrowhead, beating Joe Burrow and the Bengals at Arrowhead. I think they go on the road against the Falcons and underestimate them a little bit and stumble, and they get tested and they lose. So I've got the Chiefs dropping to 2-1 on the road, Sunday Night Football, the Falcons. It's going to be one of those games where you're watching it and you're like, I'm not saying they're going to get blown out or anything, but I think it's going to be one of those games where you're watching and you're like, come on, man, like just finish these guys off. You're like clearly the better team. And it's just one of those weird games where the Chiefs let these guys hang around, a couple bounces go Atlanta's way, and I think the Chiefs drop it. They're going to lose some games this year. And it's not always the ones that we think they're going to lose, right? You're like, you look at the best teams on the schedule and you're like, okay, we're going to drop a couple of these. And then they go and they play like they played on Christmas Day against the Raiders, for God's sake. And they end up losing that one. So I don't think predicting them to lose a road game to, an up and coming team with a lot of offensive weapons is too out of bounds here. So let's pick this one for them to lose. Spence in the chat says, I'm at work. Go Chiefs. I hope my people in the chat are having a good day. Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Spence. I know a lot of you guys are probably at work right now, sneaking this one in. So sorry for the earlier show, but had to happen. All right. So the Chiefs lose the first loss of the season, week 3. They're 2-1, and now they're heading on the road again the following week to play for the first time Harbaugh and the new look Chargers. out there in Los Angeles. So the Chiefs go on the road. This one, week 4, Sunday, September 29th at 3:25 p.m. on CBS. Again, this is going to be a not primetime game. Chargers, look, man, they're really young on defense. They kind of kept their on offense. They kept their older defensive pass rush core. And like, that's what Harbaugh is going to want to do, right? Harbaugh is like a play stout defense, run the football kind of guy. So I don't think they were concerned about moving on from Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, because the style of football that Harbaugh is going to want to play right off the bat is going to be one where they play tough, run the football, take care of the football, execute, muddy up the game, make it ugly, draw it out, right? And they've got some rookies. They've got Ladd McConkey in. I believe they drafted Jerry Rice's son late. But these guys are really young. They're going up against a really good Chiefs defense. So you could see a game here that's maybe a little bit low scoring if the Chargers can get their pass rush rocking and rolling. But at the end of the day, despite having Justin Herbert, I just don't think – I think Harbaugh is going to turn the Chargers around. I really do. I think he's an excellent coach. But I don't think he will have done it by week 4. It does help that the Chargers are at home. But as we know, there's going to be a lot of Chiefs fans out there because it's kind of Arrowhead West. So maybe the Chargers get a little bit of a boost because everybody's excited about Harbaugh. But I think they'll play more sound football here. I don't think the Chiefs are going to blow them out. I just don't think they're going to have the firepower to keep up with the Chiefs at this point of the season. Plus, Kansas City is going to be coming off a loss to the Atlanta Falcons that they're probably going to be really annoyed about. So I think they refocus and they win this one. Chiefs move to 3-1. So not a bad start to the season for the Chiefs. All right, as they're heading into week 5, it's the Saints coming to Arrowhead Stadium on Monday Night Football. We're now into October football. It's 10-7 at 7:15. This is on ESPN, of course. Look, man, the Saints are one of those teams that, like, they've got some talented guys. They got Chris Olave, but their quarterback's Derek Carr. And if you go and you look at how they performed last year, they were pretty much middle of the pack, obviously defensively, a little bit better defensively. They're just, to me, they're 9-8, middle of the road, middle of the pack team. And I think as long as they have Derek Carr pulling the trigger out there, that's going to be the case. They did draft, I believe, Spencer Rattler, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere near ready. So probably Derek Carr starting this game as long as he's not injured. I think the Chiefs take care of this one. They're at home on Monday Night Football, coming off a win over the Chargers. They're feeling themselves, and they're heading into the bye. So hopefully you don't get too distracted. This is one of those games, kind of like the Falcons, although I think the Falcons will be better than the Saints, where the Chiefs need to make sure they stay focused, or like these guys aren't going to be bums coming in here, but the Chiefs are clearly the better football team than the Saints. If this game was on the road, I might say watch out for the Saints because they have a great home field advantage, but it's not. It's Arrowhead. Chiefs win it, and they head into their bye at 4-1. So that's the first kind of bummer on the schedule, other than the tough start with 2 quality opponents for the Chiefs, for me, is the week 6 bye week. So that one, you play on October 7th, and then you don't come back until the 20th. Very early. I mean, generally, I like the Chiefs to have that bye week in the middle of the season, or even a little bit later, just so that, one, guys are getting banged up. So it's really nice for them to have that rest period, right? To lick their wounds a little bit. But from a coaching perspective, it's nice to have the bye week, because if they have a good enough run where, like, you played like 8 games and you kind of know what you really need to work on and the adjustments that you need to make at that point, because you've really been battle tested by like half a season of NFL football. You can make some tweaks, and it gives you time, if you're Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and the coaching staff, to install those new wrinkles and work on them and get them in and keep working them in throughout the rest of the season. And boom, you're ready for the playoffs. With an early one, let's still do that. And look, they will have 5 games, right, to test themselves. And thankfully, they're going to play some good opponents, right? Baltimore, and the one nice thing about the early schedule is that Baltimore, Cincinnati, and the Chargers are all going to be really well-coached teams. And so the Chiefs won't be able to get away with a ton of stuff against those teams that they might against like lesser coaches. So I like that. That gives them a chance to test some things out. And so like, it's not ideal, but it's not, it is what it is. It's a week 6 bye. And hopefully the Chiefs will learn as much as they can during that time. And hopefully they'll get themselves another bye week by winning the number 1 seed in the AFC. And then they can then work on some extra things there. But that's week 6. So week 7 is a big one. And I've got with the Chiefs coming out of the bye. They're 4-1, looking pretty good. They're going to San Francisco. This is a Sunday afternoon game. They're not primetime, but primetime game. Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs at 49ers, October 20th, Sunday at 3:25 p.m. This one's on Fox. So here's an interesting wrinkle about this game. When I first looked at the Chiefs schedule, I was like, okay, dope. They're playing the 49ers after the bye. We all know about Andy Reid after the bye. Andy Reid with extra time to prepare, all that stuff. Looks great, right? Downside is that the 49ers, while not coming off a bye, are coming off a mini bye because they play on Thursday Night Football the week before. So they get that 10-day break before the Chiefs come to town. Now, Chiefs still have the advantage here, right? They're going to be a lot more rested. They've had more time to prepare, all of that stuff. But the 49ers got the mini bye, and they're at home. And they're mad about losing the Super Bowl to the Chiefs again. Now, games like this are always really interesting to me because if you're the Chiefs, you're kind of playing with house money in this game against San Francisco, right? You've beat them in 2 Super Bowls, and they're in the NFC. So if you lose this game, you don't want to lose any games. But if you lose this game, it doesn't hurt your chances of winning the number 1 seed in the AFC, right? And how much do you want to reveal? Now, some people might be like, Patrick, you're ridiculous. Win the damn game. It doesn't matter, like you don't want to hold plays for the off chance that you meet the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl again, right? And I would say under most situations, like, yeah, that would probably be true. But this 49ers team is good. They've been in the Super Bowl a couple of times, both against the Chiefs. They played them really tough. It would not be shocking or surprising to me at all if the Chiefs and the 49ers play each other in the Super Bowl again next year in a rematch. They're both excellent teams. Now, if Brock Purdy turns into a pumpkin and doesn't play well, or the San Francisco 49ers get injured, which they are wont to do, then maybe it doesn't, go down that way. But if I'm the Chiefs, I'm holding a little bit back in this game. If I'm Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, you're playing a quality team. You want to win, try to run some good stuff, but you don't want to empty the clip in a game like this and show them some things that you might need to use against them. And because this is also a team that has scouted the crap out of you because they played you in the Super Bowl. So they know a lot of the things that you like to do already. So if you've got some things you can hold back, you want to hold them back. Now, for the 49ers, I think it's a little bit different. You could say that they're in the same situation as the Chiefs, but they're not because they lost those games. And I just think if you're Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, nobody's going to want to hold anything back. Not the fans, not the on your team. They want revenge. They want to beat the Chiefs. They want to prove to themselves that they can beat those guys. And it could be a really, like if the Chiefs lose this game, whatever, man. The Chiefs lost to the Raiders last year. They lost to the Bills. It didn't matter. They still won the Super Bowl. They've lost games to good teams during the regular season. It doesn't matter. But for the 49ers, if you're Kyle Shanahan, this is like your boogeyman, right? It's like when the Chiefs play the Bills in the regular season. Like those games mean so much more to the Bills because they can't get by the Chiefs in the playoffs. And so I really do think the Bills throw more at it when they play the Chiefs. I think the Bengals do that. And I think the 49ers will here as well. So because of those things, and just because the 49ers are a really good football team and the Chiefs are on the road, I think the 49ers get this one. And my prediction for this one is that the reason the Chiefs lose, I think it'll be close, but the reason the Chiefs lose is because Travis Kelce has his yearly fumble where he fumbles about once a year and he always loses that fumble. And I think this is one of those ones where he fumbles. Chiefs got the ball. They're down 4. Travis Kelce fumbles on like the 49ers 30-yard line. Gets his fumble out of the way. We all go nuts. We're so mad. The Chiefs lose. We're frustrated because we should have beat those guys, but shit happens. Chiefs are going to lose some games this year. So the Chiefs fall 4-2 on my schedule. And now we move to week 8. Chiefs at Raiders. So this is a Sunday late kick, 3:25 on CBS on October 27th. Look, man, I know Antonio Pierce had the Raiders playing really well last year and had their hair on fire and all that. It's not a good football team. They don't have a quarterback. That might have worked. That, coaching strategy might have worked for last year. I think it's going to work this year. And by the time they get to week 8, they're going to know that they're not a good football team. So I think it's going to be a bloodbath. Absolute bloodbath is what I wrote down here. 5-2. Chiefs moved to 5-2 after just going to Las Vegas and massacring the Raiders. I think it's going to be. Chiefs going to remember that game on Christmas Day last year, and they're going to take care of business. Don't worry. Okay, week 9. So Chiefs are 5-2. We're getting into November now. It's November 4th. The Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield are coming to Arrowhead Stadium at 7:15. So Monday Night Football, 7:15 Arrowhead time kick on ESPN. It's a tricky game for the Chiefs because the Bucs have played well with Baker Mayfield. But look, man, it's the Chiefs. They're at home in prime time. It's 11:04, so it's not quite too cold yet. So I think the Chiefs fans there will be lubricated and warm and happy and enthusiastic. I think the Chiefs take care of business. They're just clearly a better team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. KC wins and moves to 6-2. Okay, so we're going into week 10. The Chiefs are 6-2. Let me know in the chat. How are you feeling? What have I gotten right? What have I gotten wrong? Want to hear your thoughts on the schedule so far. But so now already, right, just to kind of recap here, the Chiefs have played on Thursday. They've played on Sunday Night Football. They've played on Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football twice. And had a couple of Sunday afternoon games. Note, we have not yet had a noon kick at Arrowhead or elsewhere for the Chiefs yet in this schedule, and it's November, and we're into week 10. Okay, so week 10, we get it. We get that noon kick. The Broncos are coming to town to take on the Chiefs at home on Sunday, November 10th, so day before Veterans Day at noon. Look, man, the Broncos, what I wrote here is the Broncos are going to be really, really bad this year. I think they'll give Kansas City a game because I do think Sean Payton's a pretty good coach. I think the Broncos are in full rebuild mode. Last year, I don't think they were in rebuild mode. Last year, they were in we have to give Russell Wilson a chance with Sean Payton mode. And so they didn't blow it up. Now they're blowing it up. They don't have a quarterback either. I think this one's going to be, I think the Chiefs will take care of business, but I think the Broncos will make it ugly. And because they're going to be a well-coached team, and he's in his second year there. So even though they're kind of in rebuilding phase, I think it's kind of close. It's a divisional game, and I think the Chiefs will pull away late. KC moves to 7-2 as we head into a Week 11 clash with the Buffalo Bills. I see Ruben in the chat says, "Hey, Pat, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Thank you for checking in on an early show on Thursday." All right, so this one, Week 11, Chiefs at Bills. So they're going back on the road. And this is a 3:25 kick on CBS. And it is Sunday, of course. So it's November 17th. So my initial instinct here was to just give the Chiefs the W here. And I'm not sure the Bills are just in a big transitional phase right now. Stephon Diggs is gone. They're adding new guys all over the place. I don't know, man. The Chiefs just have difficulty with the Bills during the regular season for whatever reason. It's not like they get crushed or anything, but they just keep losing to them in the regular season. I do wonder how much the coaching staff holds back in those games a little bit, keeps some things under wraps in case they play these guys in the playoffs. This is a game I think the Chiefs should win, okay? And I kind of think they will win, but as I was predicting the schedule, I landed on the Bills coming away with this one for a couple of reasons. One, they're at home. And two, I think the Bills are going to run the football a ton this year. When they switched offensive coordinators last year, they finally started using James Cook, who's a talented back. And I think they're going to try to go back to keeping Josh Allen from chucking the ball down the field, playing hero ball. Like if Josh Allen's going to play hero ball, you want him playing the hero ball where he's running the football. I think that's what they go back to this year. I think he kind of runs wild in this game, and they kind of just come up and beat the Chiefs up a little bit, running the football with Cook, running the football with Allen, frustrating the Chiefs, Allen running around back there. Again, I think the Chiefs should win this game, but they're on the road against the Bills. Those fans are nuts out there, love Bills Mafia. So I'll give it to the Bills. I'll give the Bills can continue their regular season dominance over the Chiefs, and we all know what will happen once they actually get to the playoffs, if they get to the playoffs. But I think the Bills sneak in and get this one. Makes their fans feel good. Chiefs are, fine with losing this game, even though they probably don't want to. I don't think the Bills are going to be in for this year. Okay. So I don't want the Chiefs to lose too many AFC games because of the tiebreakers and stuff. I don't think losing to the Bills is going to be catastrophic for them because I don't think they're going to be in the running. Okay. Week 12. So Chiefs dropped to 7-3. We're all annoyed because we are kind of sick of losing to the Bills in the regular season. Ruben says the Bills lost a lot of defensive players. They did. Roster is very different in Buffalo. So I could be wrong. I could be dead wrong here, and the Chiefs could absolutely railroad these guys. But we'll see. Josh Allen, I still think he's a good quarterback. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so week 12. So Chiefs on the road. So, back-to-back road games for the Chiefs here. Sunday, November 24th. It's a noon kick. Why is it a noon kick? Because the Chiefs are going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Panthers not going to be good this year. The Chiefs are going to be mad having lost to the Bills. They're going to refocus. I think this is I think this one's going to be like the Bears game last year. One of the few blowouts that we get each year, and this is going to be the one. Chiefs blow out the Panthers, angry after the loss of the Bills, move to 8-3, and we're feeling pretty good as we head into the home stretch here of the season. It's week 13 now, and the Raiders are coming back to town, returning to the scene of the massacre, this horrible game that the Chiefs played. One of the worst games I've ever seen them play, and I watched during the Herm Edwards era against the Raiders on Christmas Day last year. Chiefs have already avenged that out in Vegas with a bloodbath game. This one is on Black Friday. That's November 29th at 2 p.m. on Amazon is where you're going to be able to catch this one. Amazon Black Friday game, sort of weird. So it's, what I do like about this is most everybody's off on, a lot of people are off on Black Friday. I'm not a big fan of the Chiefs playing on Thanksgiving just because then I have to we have to still do all the family stuff and it's going to interfere with watching the Chiefs. So this is ideal for me because it's like getting I'm still digesting the Thanksgiving Day food, but now I can watch the Chiefs at home, no family commitments. I'm certainly not going out on shopping on Black Friday with a baby in the house. So I'll be hanging out watching the Chiefs at 2:00, and it's the Raiders. And hopefully the Chiefs are more focused in this one since it's the day after a holiday. And I think they will be. They're not going to let that happen again. I think this game's closer. The Raiders have some guys, but it's not going to matter. The Chiefs are going to win this one 9-3 on Amazon on Black Friday. So a Friday game for the Chiefs. That's new. Okay. Week 14. Chargers coming to Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Chiefs are 9-3. I debated this one, Sunday Night Football. So it's December 8th. We're into December football now. 7:20 p.m. kick, Sunday Night Football, NBC. I almost picked the Chargers to win this one because I really do. I don't like Harbaugh, but I like him as a coach. And I figured he'd have his team playing well by this point in the season. Kind of, the Chiefs are at home. The Chargers will be really up for it. They're going to want to try to prove that it's a new era and they're going to run the AFC now and all that stuff. So I think the Chargers get shot out of a cannon in this game and maybe jump out to an early lead on the Chiefs. And I think they're going to really lean on their ferocious pass rush But I think late down the stretch, Mahomes is going to do Mahomes things. So I think the Chiefs, maybe they're down 3-4 points here at the end of this game. And, the Chargers defense frustrates the Chiefs a little bit. But I think Mahomes gets it done in front of the Sunday Night Football crowd. He's a big game guy. And the Chiefs get the sweep over the Chargers. I think the Chargers will come back swinging next year and for many years to come, but not this year. The Chiefs get the sweep, move to 10-3, and got their eyes on the number 1 seed. Ruben says, Chargers winning the division again, don't you know? Oh, yeah, man. Every preseason champions. Jose says, Baby Allen will come into the world right into the golden era of Chiefs football. That's the thing that I finally felt secure enough, I think. I'm 41. I turned 41 on Monday. And I think maybe it was now that I finally felt secure enough to bring a young Chiefs fan into the world. So he'll be here in a couple of weeks, and we're over the moon excited. Can't wait to meet him. He's beating the crap out of his mother. It's going to be a wild ride. You guys will get to go on it with me. All right. So Chiefs are 10-3. It's week 15. Christmas is coming. They're playing the Christmas music on all the radio stations. You're trying to get your last minute shopping done. It's Sunday, December 15th. It's a noon kick on CBS, and the Chiefs are going to play the Cleveland Browns. I think the Chiefs are going to lose this game. I think they're going to win those 2 divisional games. They're going to be feeling great. They're going to be thinking about Christmas. They're going to go out to Cleveland, who has a really good defense. Nick Chubb's supposed to be back. I don't know how well he'll be playing, but he's supposed to be back this season. They lost him early last year. It just feels like one of those games. It's a road game, a somewhat unfamiliar opponent, right? And it's going to be friggin' cold, man. I'm from Northeast Ohio. I've seen a ton of games at that stadium. It's right on the lake. I think December 15th isn't like the coldest of the cold, but if there's wind, look out. That's not going to be a fun game. It's just going to be one of those games where I think it's ugly. I don't think the Browns are going to be very good on offense again this year, but I think their defense is going to be stout. I think they muck up the game a little bit, try to run the football, and it's just one of those games where, the Chiefs have to drop, some games, and why not to a team with a really good defense where they might, Myles Garrett force a turnover. Lucas says my Cleveland bias is showing. Maybe it is. But I think it just feels like one of those games. Like if it was at Arrowhead, I think I'd be picking the Chiefs, but the Browns are going to be battle tested, playing in a really tough division. They've got a good defense. I think Kevin Stefanski's a good coach. So it just all comes down to the quarterback position, right? Like what does Deshaun Watson do? But I think this could be one of those weird games where it's just a road game, kind of tough conditions, cold, getting close to Christmas. Chiefs take their eye off the ball a little bit. Browns sneak up on them. So Chiefs dropped 10-4, and we just got 3 games to go, and it's a big one. And maybe the other thing about this Browns game is that the Chiefs are looking ahead to this game in week 16 against the Houston Texans. This game is going to be on Saturday. It's a Saturday game for the Chiefs, so it's a noon kick, but kind of prime time. Texans coming to Arrowhead. I think this game will be for the number 1 seed. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Texans won't be that good. I think they will be. CJ Stroud, excellent last year. Again, maybe my Ohio State bias is showing, but he was excellent last year. They've only gotten better with some offseason moves and draft. I thought they had a really nice draft. So this one's going to be a tough game for the Chiefs. And maybe they're looking ahead to that a little bit against the Browns and they lose. And but I don't think they lose to the Texans. Big game for the Texans, right? Like they played in the playoffs last year, played some big games, but this is going to be a huge game because it's going to be, maybe these teams have the same record heading into this one, or maybe even the Texans are, have a one more win than the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win a shootout, fun game on a Saturday, a few days before Christmas, and the Chiefs get this one and move to 11-4. So here's the wild thing here is, and this was pointed out, right? This stretch of games is ridiculous. So the Chiefs play on the 15th, then they play on Saturday, December 21st, and then they play on Wednesday, December 25th. 3 days between games. What do you guys think of this? I don't even know how this is possible, to be honest with you. That the Chiefs are going to play a football game on a Saturday and then play a game on Christmas Day. I mean, that is ridiculous. I don't know what the NFL is thinking here. I know they want the Chiefs on Christmas Day, but for God's sake, man. So let me look at what Pittsburgh. So they're going to be playing Pittsburgh in this one, and it's on the road. So the Chiefs host the Texans in a huge game, and then they go back out to the east to play the Steelers on Christmas Day. I want to look at the Steelers schedule because I want to see where they're coming from. So I'm pulling that up right now. Okay, so the Steelers will play the Ravens away on Saturday as well on the 21st. And then they'll play the Chiefs on Wednesday, December 25th. Yeah, man. I just think it's I don't have anything to say about it. It's just completely absurd. Guys are going to get hurt. They don't have time to get treatment. It's absolutely ridiculous that the NFL did this. I'm kind of speechless, to be honest with you. I hadn't thought about it. As I was going through the schedule, I was thinking more about the games, but that's freaking crazy. Ruben says the NFL is trying to stop the three-peat. He also says, do I think Stroud will stay consistent in his second year? It's hard to say. I mean, it's easy to kind of sneak up on guys a little bit, and then everybody gets the film on you. And, so you could see him struggling a little bit and maybe being quite as good as he was statistically last year. But he played in a lot of big games at Ohio State, and he's pretty cool and calm under pressure. I like the weapons he has. So I think he'll be all right. Maybe he has a couple rough patches. It's all for me about like, how do these guys adjust, right? Like, okay, you've come in, you took the league by storm. Then they get a chance to study you for an offseason and see what you struggle with. And then they hit you with it. And then are you good enough to respond, right? Like guys like Colin Kaepernick, who were like really talented, came in and people figured him out a little bit and what he didn't like and what he didn't do well. And he wasn't really able to overcome that. And then that was kind of it. And we see this a lot with like backup quarterbacks coming in. Remember Damon Heward looked like he's a starting quarterback. And then he starts the season for the Chiefs. No, he was not a starting quarterback. So I don't think that's the case with CJ Stroud, but we will see. And Ruben's right in the chat. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Okay, so let's talk about this game. It's bullshit, but it's bullshit for the Steelers too, coming in on 3 days rest. Chiefs going on the road to Pittsburgh, Christmas Day, noon. Both of these teams are coming off tough games. The Chiefs are at home. The Steelers were on the road to Baltimore. That's not far from Pittsburgh, but it's still going on the road. So extra whammy for them. They've got a couple of quarterbacks over there. Who the hell knows who's going to be starting, whether it's going to be CJ Stroud or Russell Wilson at this point in the season. This could easily be the ugliest game of football you see all year because these teams are going to be fucking exhausted. And it's on Christmas Day. So not only are they going to be exhausted, they're going to be annoyed and nobody's going to want to be there. Mike Tomlin's a really good coach. Pittsburgh fans are great. I still think the Chiefs will win it. It's just they're just going to be the better football team. But like, don't be surprised if they lose this game. And if they do, blame the NFL because it's just preposterous. The scheduling is preposterous. But the Chiefs, I've got them winning it 12-4, moving on to week 18 to host the Denver Donkeys. Or sorry, they're not hosting them. They're going to Denver. It's even worse. God, imagine you got to spend your Christmas Day in Pittsburgh and then you have to go to Denver a few days later. So the Chiefs get a little bit of a longer break because they played on friggin' Wednesday. And they go to the Broncos Sunday. This is a TBD kick because, they do weird shit at the end of the season because they don't know what are the big games. And so they want to just hold off on how they want to schedule all this. I think the Chiefs will be playing for the number 1 seed. They will have beaten Baltimore. They will have beaten the Bengals. They will have beaten the Texans, as far as I'm concerned in my early predictions here. They will have not played the Jets. I don't know how good the Jets will be or if Aaron Rodgers will be worth the damn or not. We'll see. but I think they'll probably be pretty good. I like the players they have. If they give the quarterback play, I think they'll be in the mix. I think the Ravens will be in the mix. I think the Texans will be in the mix, and I think the Chiefs will be in the mix. And I think this will be it for KC because of some of the tiebreakers that they'll have over some of those key teams. And they're going to be playing their starters. And the Broncos are going to be playing for nothing because I think the Broncos are going to be ass this year. I think the Broncos will make it interesting for a half. And then the Chiefs will go, it'll be one of those halves where like stupid shit happens. Like the Chiefs have a drive going and like Travis Kelce drops a pass for a first down that hits him in the chest, just like weird things or somebody falls down or there's like a dumb fumble in a bad spot or Mahomes throws one of those unconscionable picks he's prone to throw every once in a while. And you're like, what were you looking at? What were you doing? And they go into the half and they're in the locker room and they're just really furious and they come out and they put the game away. They put the number 1 seed away and head off to the playoffs with a final record of 13-4. So that's how I see it. Again, I've got the Chiefs taking out the Ravens, taking out the Bengals, dropping to the Falcons, beating the Chargers, beating the Saints, going to their bye week, taking an L to the 49ers, beating the Raiders, beating the Bucks, beating the Broncos, dropping to the Bills, taking care of business against the Panthers and Raiders and Chargers, having a weird one and a loss to Cleveland in week 15, moving to 10-4, and then finishing strong with 3 straight wins over the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos. Chiefs finished 13-4. Lucas says, for AA, I projected 13-4 losses to at the Chargers, Bills, Texans, and Steelers. Yeah, you might be right about that Steelers game. I mean, when all this thing settles down, like maybe the Chiefs win that Browns game, but then they lose. They lose to Pittsburgh. Tomlin's a really good coach. He finds a way to keep no matter how bad the quarterback play is, Pittsburgh, he resonates in that locker room, man. They play hard for him. They're well coached. I've heard guys talk about like with Tomlin, like what they hear, like what he talks about during the week and like how teams are going to attack them. That's exactly what they do. He's a good coach and he just hasn't always had the great personnel there, but they're always in the mix. Joshua Clayton says Chiefs lose to the Falcons for sure. It does feel like one of those weird games, but yeah, that Pittsburgh game, I'm sure that Andy Reid and the Chiefs and Mike Tomlin, I bet they're all beside themselves furious about that scheduling. It's just irresponsible. Like these guys, look, I'm as big of a football nut as anybody. I can't get enough of it. I watch way too many of the games. I'll watch all the primetime games. That may change this year with the baby, but like I watch a ton of football to the point where, and part of this is because Chiefs keep winning the Super Bowl. So my football watching, and intensity continues and podcasting continues throughout the whole thing. Like even by the time the season's almost over, like I am tired. I'm tired, not of football, but I'm just like, I need to do something else for a little while. Like when's yard work season? So I can get into that before I slide back into football. But so look, man, it's a wacky schedule for the Chiefs. It's wacky. You got 2 on the road. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Steelers schedule. Give me a second. From a home and away perspective for the Chiefs, you get those 2 opening home games. But remember, this is the year where they have the extra away game because of the 17-game schedule. So they alternate having an extra home game and an extra away game. So they get 2 at home against Baltimore and Cincy. Then it's 2 on the road, Atlanta, Los Angeles. Then they come back home. They never have 3 road games in a row in consecutive weeks. They come home and it's Baltimore or it's the Saints, and they get that bye. And then they come out of the bye and it's kind of rough, like two road games in San Francisco and Vegas out there on the West Coast. And then it's back home for 2, Tampa Bay and Denver. Then it's on the road for 2, Buffalo and Carolina. They're not going too far for those ones. Then it's back home for 2, against Vegas and Los Angeles, and then it's on the road to Cleveland, home against Houston, and then on the road to Pittsburgh on the ridiculous rest, and on the road to Denver. So on the front end, you get those 2 home games, but they're tough games. And then on the back end, you get 2 games you should win, but they're road games in weird circumstances, cold weather against, a well-coached team, 2 well-coached teams and a division rival. So, schedule for the Chiefs, I'm going to go with no. I think when you're Kansas City Chiefs, you're the draw that they are with Mahomes, Kelsey, and everybody, and you're winning every year, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not like the NFL is screwing them, really. They try to make it as fair as they can, but, like, there's just too many, like, primetime games. They're moving them all over the place, and when you're having that happen, I think for Andy Reid and the coaches, like, if they had their way, right, like, it would just be they'd play on Sunday at 1 every week, because they have a routine and they want to get their routine for their players, treatment for the coaches, get your installs done, do all those things. And when you're on prime time all the time, you're playing on Monday this week, and then it's Thursday, and now you're friggin' playing on Wednesday and Saturday and Friday. Like, you're just all over the board. And so it makes it a little bit more challenging. And that's one of the reasons why I have the Chiefs dropping games this year, considering their kind of wonky scheduling, plus the fact that I think Rashee Rice might be suspended, plus that they've got to get new tackles in and all that stuff. I think it's going to be a tougher season for them. But the good news is that they're used to it. The opponents that they have this year are not necessarily murderers, really. I actually think from an opponent standpoint, I think they're middle of the pack as far as strength of schedule based on last year goes. And these teams they know well. So I don't think it's an incredibly difficult schedule of opponents for the Chiefs. But yeah, they're just going to be all over the place. But like, I guess they're used to it. They're used to this kind of thing. But just remember, as the regular season goes on, like, if something weird happens, like let's say they drop those first 2 games of the Ravens and the Bengals. I don't think that's going to happen. They're usually really good in the beginning of the year. But say they do. Don't freak out. Like, remind me not to freak out, because I'm going to be like frayed nerves anyway. So, like, remind me not to freak out. It's going to be okay. It's Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. All that matters is that they get in the playoffs, and they get into the playoffs healthy. If they do that, fantastic. But I do think it would help them. They played a lot of football over the years. Travis Kelce's getting old, tired. If they can get that bye week, that would be fantastic. I really missed that second bye. I think it would be really good for the Chiefs to have been able to play in that era fully, where they didn't have to be the best team in the AFC all season long to get that bye, and then they can have their little slip ups and things like that. But we'll see. Let's see. We got a couple predictions in the chat. Josh Clayton says 10 to 12 wins this year. Ruben says, where everyone's Super Bowl? I get you were trying to say we're, yeah. Chiefs are everybody's Super Bowl. That's the other thing. I mean, you don't think all these teams are sick of losing to the Chiefs and seeing the Chiefs hoist the Lombardi every single year? It's annoying, and they're the big bad, wolf, and they need to be defeated and all that. And like when the Super Bowl was approaching last year, I was on TikTok, and like all these clowns are making these videos of like, save us, Lamar Jackson, you're our only hope, and like all these montages of like, Lamar highlights, and at first it was Josh Allen. Save us, Josh Allen, you're our only hope. And it's like, that's where we are with the Chiefs, which is kind of cool as a Chiefs fan to be at the point where it's like, yep, we're the bad guys on the block. Everybody hates us. They're sick of us winning. Everybody's rooting for us to lose. When the Chiefs made the Super Bowl that first time, like, people were rooting for the Chiefs. Not anymore. It's just the way it is. But that's all right. Yeah, Josh says they play every day of the week but one this year. Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, everybody. My time has come. With the exception of a week or two, I don't think I've missed consecutive weeks of this podcast since we started it in 2020. It was like 2020. So why for me to not be on the show? I'm going to miss it a ton. I'll be back. I'm going to miss it a ton, but I will be otherwise occupied changing diapers. And I never thought I would hop on Amazon to buy something called butt paste. Wasn't on my radar, but did that the other day. So got a big jar of butt paste along with some other fun, interesting things, contraptions to get snot out of a kid's. You guys with kids all know all this stuff, so I'm sure that you're bemused listening to me talk about it. But maybe I'll start a podcast, like a baby podcast, and you can just like, what's it like when a 41-year-old man has his first child and tries not to kill it. There's probably a market for that. All right, everybody. I'll be back sometime, probably in June. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have our regular slate of shows. In fact, we're expanding. We've got some things cooking. We've got some things simmering for you. We're going to try to bring you even more Chiefs content as we reconfigure things here a little bit. It's the off season. It's a good time to do that. So Sterling will be here on Tuesdays. Going to be with Briscoe. Wednesdays you continue to have Sterling and Adam. Verderem will be here on Thursdays. So make sure you check that out, of course. And then I will return at some point this summer. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.